Hi, everyone.
Hey!
And welcome to the White Hatter YouTube news show.
I'm Darren.
I'm Brandon. Let's talk about some updates.
Let's do that. What do we got going on?
Updates from us this week. We have two webinars, one of our free ones, one of our premium ones. First one is going to be on Tuesday, which will be, tomorrow when this goes out, which is the good of social.
Oh, yeah, because we're shooting Sunday, but we produce it on Monday. So, yeah, you're right. Because when I thought tomorrow, I went, well, tomorrow's Monday. But really, anyways, you're right. Tuesday, July 7th.
Tuesday, July 7th is the good of social media.
7 p.m.
Teens and technology.
Yes, looking forward to that. You know, a lot of media has a tendency to concentrate on all the negative stuff that happens with teens. And we have found that there's far more positive stuff that teens are doing with technology right now. And so that's what that's all about.
Yeah.
Is that webinar is all about sharing all the positive things that youth are doing with technology, social media in today's world. So for parents, tune in. For teens, tune in. I mean, I think you're going to have a couple of aha, or what I call light bulb moments, showing some of the things that kids are doing. It's amazing. It's amazing what's going on. And like we say, the vast majority of these kids are doing super, uber cool things online. And we adults, speaking out of the boomers, we need to start acknowledging that fact. And this webinar goes a long way in helping that happen.
And then this week, we're doing the how teens can leverage social media and technology to get into college, universities of their choice, and jobs of the future.
So important, especially if you've been following the news recently, how teens right now are losing scholarships as a result of what's been happening internationally and what they're saying and posting in their social media. So we're going to be talking about that, but more importantly, we're going to be showing teens how to leverage their social media so that they can give themselves a digital advantage when it comes to applications to college, universities, and jobs. Because we know that all those agencies look at people's social media, help them make the decisions, right? So
links to those will be down below in the description for our webinars.
Looking forward to it.
Let's talk about some news.
In the news.
First news article today we're going to talk about and discuss is a report from News Magazine, Security Magazine, talking about a potential file being sold by a hacking group online that's claiming they have BMW customer database information that they collected from or stolen from call centers.
What does BMW stand for?
What do they stand for?
British Motor Works.
Oh.
You're such a millennial.
All right.
Yeah. British Motor Works, BMW, see, BMW. Anyway, so what's going on with this?
I mean, it's yet to be confirmed if this file they're selling actually has the relevant data in it.
Yeah.
But this hacking group has had a history of selling of valuable, truly hacked files.
Yeah, they got a good track record of doing that, right?
So yet to be determined, but something to be aware of for those BMW owners and whatnot.
You know, it's just another example of, what you're posting online. You have to be careful of. And
It's from a call center, apparently.
Yeah, but I where I'm going with this though is I think companies now need to start asking themselves, should they be collecting as much information on their clients or their customers?
That sounds like the entire show that we're going to talk about.
I know, but really, individuals, we're getting pretty aware of this kind of stuff now, right? And I'm hoping as a result of that, people will start to challenge companies more like this, going, well, why do you need to know this information on me? Where are you going to, why? Like, you don't need it, but there's a reason why they're asking for it and collecting it. But if they're collecting it digitally, there's a risk of it now being disclosed, right? Or exposed, and we'll talk more about that. But yeah, interesting. But like you say, although this has happened, we can't say yet if any of it has gotten out there yet. Right?
Yeah. Again, it's kind of the buyer beware. It's like buying a used something online. Like sure, you buy it used, you plug it in when you get home. Do you know it works totally or not? I mean, it's too.
Mom and Dad were talking about BMW the other day because they got this really cool electric little car out. It kind of looks like a smart car, but it's fully electric. And here we are living in Greater Victoria, and I mean, we're thinking an electric car would be kind of cool for just kind of spotting around.
Put solar panels up on the studio roof. And
we were talking about that again today because, as you know, we thought about solar panels 2 years ago, but the technology was still developing and it was still a little costly. But given where we live with the property in the sun, and I didn't know this, when it comes to solar, British Columbia is one of the best places in the world, right? Which is kind of weird, right? But it is. So anyways, just saying, did you know that Ford's new Mustang is now fully electric? They got a fully electric Ford Mustang now. It doesn't look like a Mustang though. Kind of looks like a.
That's cool.
It looks.
I
Like
mean, electric cars can go from 0 to 60 faster
they're
than
fast.
faster than
fast.
than gas cars.
They're fast. But when you think of the Ford Mustang, you know, it's an iconic vehicle and it's got a certain look.
big nose.
Yeah, it's got a certain look and certain lines about it. This one looks like a cross between a Tesla and a VW Bug. No, you have to look at it, right? But you're right. They're electric cars are extremely fast because of the torque ratio that they have, right? So,
Interesting.
Anyways, yeah.
Speaking of data collection from companies, that companies may or may not choose to collect data, but some who over-collect data, more so facial recognition
that's a big deal.
analysis
That's a big
through
deal.
pictures.
We talked about that last week, right?
That's a big topic nowadays. What about building tools to help prevent companies? Good example, researchers from Singapore University have developed a digital altering algorithm that apparently what they've determined is they can take a picture, they can alter it, and they did research what they call the human sensitivity map. Basically, how much alterations can you do on a picture before the human eye can really pick out a difference?
The HSM.
Sure, let's go with that. And then they applied it to automatically distort pictures. So basically what they did here with this example of this kitty cat, one picture is an original picture, and the other picture is altered. And it's altered in a way that helps prevent artificial technology, like face detection technology on Facebook and Google, from being able to analyze and detect these pictures.
It's interesting because on the picture on the right there, you can actually see, if you look at the plants, there is a difference. Like the one on the left is far more clear and sharp, and the one on the right is a little bit not so much. So you can see the difference. But, you know, isn't there a danger to this technology as well? Because a lot of these platforms use AI technology to detect things like child pornography, right? So could this technology be used to help mask that from AI?
I guess the question is, does those companies use the AI detection in private photos or just public?
I don't know. I know that they're using AI as a way to help prevent things like child pornography and gore stuff getting out there.
Yeah, and I know it's definitely for like public postings, but I'm not quite sure if it's as sensitive when it's private postings and private pictures.
Oh, but
I'm not sure.
But they're posting those private postings and pictures into a public domain, i.e. onto Twitter or onto Facebook or Instagram. So
yeah, but being public.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
I mean, it's kind of cool that they're doing this to a degree from a privacy standpoint, but I guess like anything else in the world, anything for good can be used for bad.
Yeah, and I would assume most cyber criminals who are dealing in that kind of behavior would be using platforms, not your traditional Facebook. That already don't collect or analyze pictures.
True, but we still know what happens on those platforms. But again, I think from a privacy standpoint, I think it's kind of cool. You were mentioning something, wouldn't it be cool if Apple developed how you?
I mean, it would be kind of cool if there can be like a picture option in like smartphones, like Apple or Google kind of thing, where basically you take a picture, you enable this algorithm by default. Yeah. So every picture you take, all your pictures are distorted in a way when you post them publicly on social media. It makes it harder for AI to detect what's in the picture.
Oh, I see.
But people who see your picture understand, oh yeah, that's a cat.
Well, it's kind of like the app Signal now, where if you take a picture, it immediately recognizes faces and
it can block it out. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. What else we got going?
Another company data breach. Not really data breach.
Hey, just to let you know, the picture of the guy there, that's me.
Okay. All right. So VShred, which is
except mine doesn't look like a six-pack; it looks more like a keg.
Okay.
Okay, boomer.
VShred, which is
Cal, if you're watching, you know what I'm talking about.
Dear. VShred is a US-based fitness company, and there's a lot of virtual fitness training and such.
Yeah, it's
and
big business.
VPN Monitor, their research team discovered that they had an open Amazon Web Services server, meaning anyone with a web link can access it. And what was on this server were information about clients, such as account profile pictures, revealing before and after photos of workouts, custom meal plans, and in the database, things like full names, home addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, birth dates, potentially social security numbers, spouses' names, potentially social media accounts, genders, health conditions, age ranges, and such.
Everything you'd need to create identity theft.
or do a phishing attempt, or now apparently there's no data so far that shows that this public accessible database was accessed by a malicious actor.
I mean, fitness apps are a big business right now in the industry. Didn't Fitbit have an issue?
Fitbit had issue, I think, a year or two ago.
Yeah.
But again, it's a matter of,
Where people hang out, there's going to be those who want to try and hack and get that information, right?
So I mean, yeah, like security companies like these, like they just audit all these, they randomly go through different, trying to find different open databases. And
Now,
hackers do the same thing.
Do you know if they brought this to the attention of the company?
Yeah, so before this was all published, VPN Mentor, they have a really good security team, research team, and yeah, they have a whole process of, they detect something, they inform the client, they give them time to fix the issue, and this issue is fixed, so no one can actually access this right now.
So they actually have an ethical and moral compass
Yeah.
of what it is that they're doing, right?
Yeah,
Oh, good on you,
but that
VPN
being
Mentor.
said, a lot of these research companies, if they approach a company and they blow them off, going, "Oh, this is like whatever."
Oh well, we gave you a warning.
We gave you a warning. It's like, here's a month. Here's another warning.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to release it publicly, and then it's like it's public. And the interesting thing is, it's all public, right?
Yeah.
It's not as if they hacked the company.
No.
And a lot of companies, we talked about this in the past on our shows. There's a lot of companies when a security researcher approaches them, go, "Hey, you have an open web server here. You might want to fix." A lot of people who don't have any tech background go, "Oh, you hacked me. Oh, you hacked me."
Yeah.
No, you
Yep.
failed in making your database private. Now it's public, and it's published publicly, so therefore it's publicly accessible.
Yeah, and I mean, again, tip of the hat to VPN Mentor for giving the company a heads up, to have them give them time to fix it before they produce it. There's some companies that just don't do that. They just want to embarrass, and they do it anyways. But I mean, that VPN Mentor, to me, that shows an ethical and moral compass that I kind of tip my white hat.
Yeah,
to, right?
and it's important because once they release this, then everyone could have access,
Yeah.
and then all these innocent people who trust this company would be like, "Oh, great, now my data's..."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I think as consumers, we need to start asking ourselves a little bit more, well, why does VShred need all this information, right? Like,
Or, yeah, true. Well, I guess for like, yeah, good point.
Let's just say. Just say.
EvilQuest
Ooh,
is
EvilQuest.
ransomware. Hacker security researchers come up with just the best names for
know.
hacking variants. EvilQuest, which is a ransomware, malware, virus type software that's being spread to Mac devices. Yes, Macs get viruses.
No.
Just as much.
No, they don't. No, they don't. I was in a computer store not too long ago, just looking at some stuff as I usually do, much like you. You go into a tech store, you have a look at all the tech. And I'm looking at somebody who's looking to buy a PC compared to a MacBook, and the business employee, not going to mention what business, the consumer goes, "Yeah, you know what? I'm a little concerned about both of these products, about viruses and stuff." And the retailer said to the consumer, "Oh, you don't have to worry about MacBooks because you don't have to worry about malware and viruses for."
Used to be back in the early 2000s, Macs weren't popular, so hackers didn't spend time because it wasn't profitable. Now Macs are a big market share, and yet now people hack them.
I protect my Mac. I know
Same.
you protect your Mac. We've been doing it for years, right? Like we've been saying this for years that malware for Mac, iOS, and you gotta make sure you protect your devices, right? And we use a product called
Bitdefender.
Bitdefender, right? And I had a different product on there, and it was interesting when you brought Bitdefender to my attention. We put Bitdefender on the system, and Bitdefender was actually picking up on stuff that this other product that was supposed to be Mac specific was missing.
Well, see, the thing about the product you said you had prior was solely designed for home consumer use.
Yeah.
With Bitdefender, they have an enterprise or big business model.
So what does enterprise mean?
Meaning, like big companies can I don't know if these companies use, but like companies like the Macs, the Apples, the Microsofts of the world,
Right.
will hire them to secure their entire system.
Gotcha.
So they use the same, basically they use the same systems, but on a smaller home use, small business use scale.
Right. I mean, not only am I using Bitdefender software on my computers, but we're also using the Bitdefender box now, right? And so what does the Bitdefender box do for us?
Basically, it helps protect the Internet of Things.
Yeah.
So be it your smart TVs, your smart garage door, light bulbs. It scans for any unusual activity and can block things if anything bad
And it
happens.
also helps from being DDoSed.
Yeah, Yeah, that's what the company says. It helps prevent DDoSes.
Right, which is important, especially in today's world of COVID, where families are working at home right now, and all of a sudden your kid is playing games on their gaming software, and they start getting DDoSed by all the players and that kind of stuff. Now all of a sudden, we've had a couple of calls where parents have gone, our router is being knocked off. I can't even access businesses and my business accounts to do my work at home. So really, now a question for the DDoS attacks: does a DDoS attack stop once people stop DDoSing? In other words, does a DDoS attack absolutely nuke your router to the point where you
No,
need
it
a new
depends on
router?
your ISP. So normally what it does, and more so attacks your ISP, so your internet service provider, where basically would they then shut you down because you broke the terms of service.
Okay.
Something weird's coming from your household, and then your service provider goes, okay, we're going to shut you down. And then it's more so at their level rather than your level.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I asked the question, I knew the answer, but there's going to be a lot of parents who are watching this going, what's DDoSing and what does that mean and stuff. But I mean, what's important for you to know is that if you are being DDoSed and your router goes down at home because your kid was playing on a game and they just decided to get doxed and DDoSed and all that kind of stuff, all of a sudden now you lose internet access, you can't do your work at home. So, you know, for people who are working at home, getting something like a Bitdefender box to help manage that, combined with the malware protection that it has, is a good 1-2 punch. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. What else we got going?
Google's made some changes to its backing up and syncing of apps such as WhatsApp, Messages, and Kik.
Oh.
I mean, it's interesting they didn't, block their own proprietary apps.
No.
But basically, because a lot of people are home, Google engineers had basically said they are turning off the default backing up and syncing of folders with WhatsApp, Messages, and Kik.
Yeah, and this was important for people that were using Google Images to store their pictures, right? So,
well,
I mean,
using those platforms to store the pictures. So Google Pictures, I believe, is still fine.
Yeah.
It's the third parties that use Google services that you've signed up for.
So how do consumers who are watching us right now who use those products protect themselves?
The function's still there, so if you want to back up your WhatsApp, Messages, and Kik to your Google account, you can still do it. You just got to go into Google settings and enable it that way.
It's interesting, right? I mean, we did a whole Thinkable Thursday with Boomerang, the founders of Boomerang and stuff, and we find that their monitoring software is best on Android devices via Google. It was in their Google store. Google has nuked them out of their store again. You know why?
Why?
Because Google's trying to get their own proprietary.
Right,
product.
Google has Google the Families app, which then,
So again, they're trying to push out the smaller workers, and that's one of the problems with these, in my opinion. Here we go, boomer hack going on here. This is one of the problems of these big conglomerates is that, because they're so big now, they can push out the little people who are trying to make a living right now, right? So, I mean, you can still get the Boomerang product privately and download it privately, but they've just kind of kicked it out of the Google store. Apple kind of did the same thing. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes, but specific to this issue, what you're saying to parents or to adults is how do they protect themselves from these changes?
Well, it's for everyone.
Yeah.
So basically, you just go into your Google account and re-enable your automatic backups and downloads.
There you go.
Yeah.
Simple. What else?
Tim Hortons mobile ordering.
Oh, Canadian institution. What's going on with Timmy's?
So apparently some newspaper journalists basically requested their data from Tim Hortons, and they determined that the app used for mobile ordering and such had geolocation automatically enabled.
Those buggers.
And with the app open or closed, which basically they're questioning Tim Hortons going, why does my mobile ordering app need to know my location all the time with the app open and closed no matter where I am?
Yeah, good question. So who's looking into this?
So the BC Privacy Commissioner and other privacy authorities across Canada are looking into the matter. Basically, they said the commissioners are looking at if obtaining meaningful consent from the app users and if the location data are being used in a reasonable and appropriate way.
Has Timmy's given comment yet on
So Tim Hortons said to CBC News that they will obviously cooperate with any investigation.
As if they have a choice.
But they will dispute any allegations that the app is doing something that users aren't aware of. Which is very interesting language on this statement.
Okay, let me guess. It's clearly stated in their terms of service. So when people download this stuff, it's up to them to read the terms of service where we said that.
That's probably what it'll come down to.
I mean, again, that's one of the problems with the terms of service. Like it or not, it's a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo that has to be put in there to protect the interests of the company. But unless you have a law degree and usually a magnifying glass to read all the fine print that is 10 pages in length, how many people do you know, other than us, actually read those terms of service?
Now, that being said, I mean, a lot of privacy laws are now having the stipulation saying, you know what, the data you collect, or even though you have consent to collect this data, are you using it? Is it necessary? For example, here in BC, we have, our privacy law basically says, you know, you can collect data with consent, but it doesn't mean you're allowed to collect everything. It has to be meaningful. So if my hypothesis would be, if I were a lawyer, which I'm not, if I was
and doesn't pretend to be one on TV,
and or YouTube, or and I was representing,
right, I forgot, you're millennial,
or representing Tim Hortons, basically I would say, yeah, well, people travel all around, and we have so many locations that what the app finds you the closest location to order your coffee.
Yeah, you know,
that's why it needs geolocation data.
I think this is going to be a great question. We got a Thinkable Thursday that's going to be coming up where we're going to be interviewing a Canadian privacy lawyer who's big into this kind of stuff. And I think, you know, I think on that interview, Brent, I'll be quite honest, I think I want both you and I sitting in on that interview.
We'll see.
Yeah, because I think that
I'm the one that manages all the streams and such.
Oh yeah, because that's me, Boomer. I can't do that. I can't do it. No, he's good at that kind of stuff. But maybe I'll ask you to provide me with some questions, right? Because this will be a good one, right, to ask.
Or maybe we can then utilize a second set. Oh yeah. More to come for that in the future.
Yeah, Brandon's doing some really cool things here in the studio. Multiple sets. I mean, it's just kind of cool, but interesting, right? Like, why are they doing it now? You mentioned to me that this is kind of a SOP, standard operating procedure, where companies just throw everything at the wall, right?
Well, yeah, it's the same thing with the Amazon server bucket, right? Where people hire Amazon to store their data, and they just like enable just automatically everything open by default. Yeah. Just default everything accessible.
Yeah.
And then they work through the process and close things off. Where rather, the flip, it should be the other way around, where basically you hire a service, you build an app, but it's the most secure, private thing in the world possible, and then you start to enable things that you then reasonably need to open.
Yeah.
But in the development world, it doesn't work like that, because the more data, the more money, the more value.
It's interesting you brought out Amazon again. You know, one of the things I try to do is I try to support local business, right? Especially during COVID, right? But it's really hard when you want to buy something and you look at the cost of that something locally, and then you go to Amazon and it's like 15 or 20% cheaper.
And even the service of, I mean, we're getting some new things for the studio, and yesterday I was out getting some food, and then
how unusual,
my phone dinged. Oh, Amazon delivery, and they have a picture of where they put it by the front door.
Really?
Yeah. So, and then I was having an issue with our local Canada Post the other day, where basically the package had to be signed for or something, but had to go to the local post office, and then but because of COVID, the local post office has limited hours, not open on the weekend kind of things. They're only open from like 9 to 5, which is working hours. So now I have to go there and grab this package. And so I mean, like, yeah, Amazon has the tech and service figured out.
Yeah, they do.
And the other day, I got another package from Amazon. Again, and
it's like every day this guy gets packages from Amazon. It's amazing,
and
right?
it's like, oh, and I got
our recycling day, like the amount of cardboard Amazon boxes we have during
I know.
It's just unbelievable.
Or a package that was out for delivery was delayed. I got a notification on the app going, hey, your package is delayed. Will be delivered more around 9 o'clock.
Oh,
like, where is that with like Canada Post? Like,
that's true.
Like,
yeah, that's true.
And the thing with Amazon, it's all affiliates. Yeah. But you see with Canada Post, like, they control everything.
Yeah, I do struggle with it, though. I need to be quite honest, because I like supporting local business, especially mom and pop organizations that are being run by my mom and pop during COVID, because it's hard, right? And with what's going on with COVID, to make a living sometimes now. But again, when I look at something, I'm looking to buy whatever it is, and I look at the price in store, and then I go to Amazon, I have a look at it, and it can be delivered the next day, and it's like 20% cheaper. Again, in today's fiscally constrained world, you know, saving yourself $5 here, $10 there, that is a big deal.
It's also about the open options as well.
Yeah.
Where smaller stores usually have, one or two options, for places like Amazon. So again, we're looking for some curtains here for the studio.
Yeah.
And I had any kind of size I wanted, any kind of length, any kind of color.
My fear, though, is that Amazon, I mean, it's a behemoth already, but stores, brick and mortar stores are going under now because you can get these. Are we going to get to a point now where Amazon is the provider, and as a result of that, they start upping their money, the charges?
No, because Amazon for Amazon proprietary things, yes, but most of Amazon is run by independent suppliers, right? So basically, you could sell things on Amazon. You could go to a local discount store, buy thousands of a certain product, and then sell it on Amazon, and then
some people do.
Yeah, and then you basically rent space in their warehouse that you send the product to the warehouse, and then it does it automatically for you. Oh. So and then you see where individual suppliers are fighting for each other for the pricing. So there is competition, but the issue, and we talked about it on one of our shows prior, where Amazon said that they don't look at the data from their suppliers, the independent suppliers. It was revealed, allegedly, in another article we talked about, and I think it was the last show or something, where they do, and that can influence decisions on what products Amazon wants to label as the Amazon Basics proprietary stuff, and then manufacture in China for cheap, because they have data on what's most popular. So although in the short run, you can make a lot of money on Amazon, but in the long run, if you're so popular, Amazon can see the data and then make their own version of it.
Again, I struggle. I really do, because I like supporting local businesses and stuff. And a lot of times local businesses will also have items that are specific to them. You can't get them anywhere else, right? Like
and that's going to be their special sauce.
Yeah, it is. But in today's world, I don't know how some of these small businesses are going to survive here in Victoria, right? They're leasing and renting brick and mortar storefronts, and the costs are absolutely horrific. And now with people not shopping, we just know businesses are shutting down.
Well, I think there still is the human factor. Some people want to actually see, feel, and touch.
Yeah.
And some things I buy, like for example, we're doing some upgrades. There's some hardware I want to buy, but there's certain hardware I need to feel and touch to get an example of what I actually need for the studio.
But then what people are doing, good example, they'll go into a Nike store, find out a pair of Nikes that they want to buy. Oh, it fits really nice. Yeah, these are the ones I want. But rather than buying from the store, once they figure it out, they go online, they find them $20, $30 cheaper online and buy them online, right? So anyways, just on a side note, I mean, I struggle with that, I do. But you're right. From a customer service standpoint,
in terms of the delivery process, compared to like our local.
I wonder if they're going to have drones here in Victoria originally for Amazon, right? Where they just
because Canada has the strongest drone laws.
Oh.
Some of the strongest drone laws, and basically our inner harbor, our airport are all designated fly zones.
Wow.
So basically you can't fly anything, even to our local lagoon area. You can't fly a drone because it's close to the inner harbor.
Oh, can you fly it within a certain height?
Nope.
Or not? You can't fly it at all?
So it has to be. It's a weight. So that's why DJI came up with their the Mini.
Oh yeah, it's right under the weight.
It's 1 gram under the weight limit, so legally you can fly it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's still privacy laws and such you have to follow, but the big drones, no. And Amazon needs big drones now, unless you get proper, they can be proper,
licensing
and such probably. But I mean, yeah.
What's next?
Next thing, iOS flags, TikTok, another 53 apps, potentially spying on iPhone's clipboard. So here's the background on this story. So basically, your clipboard, which is basically when you copy and paste something.
Yep.
Which
you do all the time.
Yeah. That when you copy something, it has to be stored somewhere.
Yes.
And that's commonly referred to as your clipboard.
Yes.
It's temporarily stored on a clipboard for memory to keep in memory.
Hey, just on a side note, do people need to go in and clear out their clipboards, or is it kind of set up so that after a certain amount of time that data that you've copied gets deleted?
It gets deleted. It gets refreshed.
Okay.
Now there's apps you can install on your PCs and such that keep it forever.
Oh.
But that's for certain cases. But basically this, some apps, so when you build an app, you can have access to clipboards. For what reason, I have no clue why that's possible. I don't even, But some apps, some popular apps, have been called out for having access to a clipboard in situations where basically why? And then what do you do with that? For example, let's say you copy a password from your password manager and then you paste it into your account.
Uh-oh.
Save to your clipboard, and most people think, yeah, it's your clipboard, it's safe there.
Yeah.
But if these apps have access to your clipboard, and how and what information from the clipboard are these apps collecting and using?
Interesting.
So,
and the new iOS picks up on that stuff.
Yeah, so the new iOS 14, which I think is currently in beta, so it's coming out later, basically it will have a warning. So if you are using an app and it has access to your clipboard, a warning will pop from iOS, from Apple, going, hey, this app you're using, the thing you just copied, this app can now see that.
Oh,
So-
I bet you some of these developers are going to be really ticked off over that one.
Well, some developers, for example, so LinkedIn, for example, from ZNet, basically said, you know what, this was a mistake. Tin hat. This was a mistake. It's a bug. They will fix it.
Yeah, again, it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission, I guess. But this is, I mean, good on Apple for doing this, right? Because again, they're becoming very privacy-centric. They always have been. We've spoken about, some of the disadvantages and the advantages. But, specific to TikTok, it's, it seems to be, it's a cool app. I'm not gonna lie, I go there, I stream, and I have a look. There's some really cool stuff that goes on there. There's some disturbing stuff. It's not necessarily an app I would recommend for youth who are under the age of 15 per se, because of some of the issues that are on there. And although they have a parenting Overwatch now, you have to download the app onto your phone in order to use those parental controls. I don't recommend parents to do that because TikTok is harvesting just a ton of information, right? Like there's a ton of very reputable security agencies now looking at TikTok and going, boy, oh boy, it is collecting a ton of information.
And so are all these other apps.
Really?
Yeah.
To the same
People
degree?
like to focus on TikTok.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but TikTok's owned by a Chinese company.
Okay, so they're, I don't know the details on this, but they have been putting more American shareholders into it, I think, or something.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We have a TikTok page, right, and stuff. It's just, anyways, privacy issues, right? Privacy issues.
So it's gonna be interesting when iOS 14 rolls out, people start downloading iOS 14, and it's basically going to embarrass these companies, and their customers are going to be like, hey, why are you accessing my clipboard? Now, some of these companies have said in the past it's due to do analysis on any misuse of the app.
Yeah, I can see that too.
And that we don't actually save, all the data from the clipboard is saved on the device. It doesn't leave the device.
I mean, good on Apple for doing this in their iOS 14. I think that's really cool, right? At least it'll give you a shoot warning before you start to download the thing so you can make an informed decision, right? Like, do I want to download this knowing that there's this risk? Again, informed consent is what I keep saying. But, these terms of service, yeah, you sign them, you give consent, but is it really informed consent? No, it's not, because how many people are actually reading it? They don't, they just click to accept.
Well, I mean, that's with contracts, the same thing.
But I mean, the law is now moving, the civil law is now moving to say, when it comes to policy and procedure is a good example. When you're teaching employees, it's not just consent anymore, just giving a person a piece of paper and saying, read this and sign it. No, it has to be informed consent now, where you have to actually make sure that the person who's signing the document understood the content of that document, right? So, so this is, in my opinion, this is a way to have informed consent by a third party before you download an app. I wonder if they're going to do the same thing with their apps. Right? So, interesting. Good show.
Yeah, that's the show.
Good show. I mean, some, again, privacy issues, understanding some of those privacy issues, some of the AI stuff that we're having to deal with, data leaks, and if there's anything I think out of this show that I'm hoping people are learning is that, we as consumers need to start pushing back a little bit more on these apps and these businesses who are asking us for information that is not really needed, but yet they're collecting it and stuff. So, like, if I'm buying a car, why do I have to give you my date of birth? Right? Like, why? Why do you need that, right? You don't need that. So stuff like that.
Or maybe that's, they could say, it's to make sure when you leave the lot that, we know that you're not under the age of licensing.
Well, I can show them my license, but why do they need to record it?
Because they probably legally need to know the data in order so they don't get sued.
You know what? We had a company try to photocopy our driver's license. Can we please see your driver's license to confirm you are who you are? And I said, yeah, here you go. There it is right there. They said, can we have it? And I said, why? Well, we just need to photocopy it and put it in a file. I said, not going to happen, right? And so they said, really? I said, really? And I said, if you want my business, then that's how it's going to happen. So guess what? They didn't take my driver's license and they are my business. You know, pushing back. I mean, too many of us, I think, we're just like lemmings,
Yeah.
right? Where we just kind of do it because we think, well, I
Yeah.
guess I got the right to do it. Well, we need to start.
Well, I think it's better here in BC, right? Because basically you can say, why do you need that data?
Yeah,
Why?
that's true.
Why? Like, what? Sure, you can have the license, but why?
Can you know, one of our favorite people, she actually works with us here at the company, is Julie Hellinger, right? And she's doing her PhD on privacy. Can you imagine being an employee at a store having to deal with Julia because she knows all the ins and outs of privacy when all of a sudden you're asking for stuff?
It's like me when I was working for a retail store.
Yeah,
Like, wait, sorry, what? Why are we collecting emails? Sorry, every employee has to ask for those emails. Like,
And
why?
that's the other thing, right? Like when you go to stores and that kind of stuff, they will ask you for your email, and they like no.
And the low played millennial and Gen Z employees are like, this is stupid.
Or you know, if you give them an email, you'll get a discount. That's why you have the same app. There's an app out there that allows you to generate
temp mail or millimeter. Yeah.
So that's what I do is I use temp mail to give an email address so I can get a 20% discount or whatever it is they're offering, but yet it's not trackable to me, right? Like, come on. But again, we need to, as consumers, we need to start asking more questions about information that people are collecting because a lot of that information is not pertinent to anything, right? And if they say, well, sorry, we can't do business, then go someplace else, right?
And then you contact your local privacy officer and go, hey, hey, can you investigate?
Yeah.
And they're outside judicial kind of binds. And,
So anyways, good show.
Yeah, good show.
So on behalf of myself, I'm Darren.
And Brandon, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week on the White Hatter YouTube News Show.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.